Okay, good morning everyone. There's been a few things going around YouTube that I've seen that, some of which it's like, yeah, okay, they're going after that guy, great. Andy Worski said he took off a condom, okay, that's fine, whatever. Okay, and then, you find out that they're really going after JF, his partner, too, like, hardcore, and it's about... And I've heard this story before, and basically what JF says is he was dating, I believe it was a Down syndrome girl, but you gotta remember, not all Down syndrome people are the same. So she was a girl who could make her own decisions from what he said, and the family got apparently very overprotected or something, and he was actually gonna marry her. For whatever reason, it didn't work out, I'm assuming because of her family, but the whole situation sounded more like a relationship than a Down syndrome being raped. You know what I mean? Like, very clearly, the man had affection for this girl he was talking about. And so that's the first part of what's going on, of course. And then on top of that, you have YouTube trying to target people like... I think InfoWars got a content strike. There were a few other... YouTubers, I think, that got content strikes. Oh, Steven Crowder right now is having a really serious fight with YouTube for removing their South by Southwest video with Spin Computer. Even though he blurred out all the faces of everybody there, he just thought it would be a really funny, gag, which it is. It's a hilarious gag. And I thought it was really entertaining. And guess who got hurt from that gag? Goose egg. No one. No one got hurt from the gag. Kind of like a pug giving a salute. A Nazi salute. It's obviously a fucking joke. And yet the UK government, right now, has just convicted Count Dankula. Let that sink in. They're trying to do the same shit over here, right? Except for the right now the big tech platforms are kind of under a lot of scrutiny by the U.S. government because, as far as I know, like Ted Cruz was talking to the head of Twitter and stuff like that, and if Ted Cruz is already talking to some of the one of the big platforms out there that is having problems, and he was talking about shadow banning, so it's about the censorship. And so our US government is already on it. They're like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like, no, bad, no censorship, or at least the ones of our government that aren't complete batshit. And it makes me very happy that we have the First Amendment in our Constitution, and you look at the historical context of it, it's like, we wanted to be able to tell King George to fuck off. That's why we wanted freedom of speech. That's why we wanted freedom of the presses. Like, we had to be offensive to the British Crown in order to get our revolution, to become free, to get away from the taxes and the tyranny and the censorship and all those things. And our founding fathers were really smart people. They were like, let's stick this whole freedom of press, freedom of religion, freedom of speech thing in there, and let's just say the government doesn't have control over your daily life. The government doesn't have control over who you offend. Now, if you hit that person, then the government has a little bit of say in it, because they kind of have to come in and be like that strict parent, like, nope, you can't kill people, nope, you can't assault people, you're going to prison. That's oversimplistic, obviously, but the point is like, it's like, when you're raising a child, for instance, and the child says something weird, and they're just like, I'm gonna eat your soul, like, do you take the 4-year-old seriously, or do you just let him spout off about how he's going to take over the world? And then you come to the realization that all the 4-year-old is doing is repeating what he saw on TV. And then you can have a conversation about it. Like, where'd you see this? Why do you want to eat my soul? That's kind of weird. Like, it's like, but Shaggy and Scooby or something, you know. It doesn't matter what it is. You can still have a conversation. It's like you don't restrict a small child's speech. Why would you restrict an adult speech? You know what I mean? Like, if you're not going to charge a 4-year-old for doing a Nazi salute, theoretically, say he saw a Nazi salute on the internet, and he just did it, and he didn't know what it was for, you know, did the, oh, look, I'm going to do it right now. Woo! Both arms! Both arms! I don't know if that actually counts. Sorry. I'm really bad at this whole Nazi salute thing. Apparently, that's probably a good thing. Oh, my light just changed on my computer. Probably a good thing. I don't want to be charged something by the UK government, even though I'm a US citizen. And then you have, of course, Lauren Southern. And I think there was a couple other people who were detained and kicked out of the UK because of their wrong thing, essentially. And you gotta remember, Lauren Southern, you know, is a fucking gorgeous white goddess, essentially. The way that she appears. So, of course, that's intimidating to anybody who's, well, hates white people. And then on top of that, she goes off to, like, South Africa and talks about how the white farmers are just being slaughtered down there. So, of course, she can't be allowed into the UK. I mean, pretty sure some of those people were from England who lived down in South Africa. I think it was, well, I remember it was, like, Afrikaners. Well, they spoke English down there, I believe, though. So I think it was the English that colonized them, but I'd also know that there were, like, the French and the Dutch down there somewhere, too. Like Africa during the colonial days was just sort of cut up into random pieces because the French, the Dutch, and the English were like, ooh, look at all this fucking land! Let's get ourselves to work! But, you know, it's not necessarily all white people's fault. The fact that the native population, you know, is currently trying to kill the people who feed them. It's this really shitty situation where, you know, like, yeah, some of the apartheid, you know, policies probably did lead to some of the things in the black community, like having just a massive amount of kids, just constantly. That's probably what destroyed the black community, or the African existing community in South Africa at the time, was white people came in, they brought in all these resources, they brought in all this technology to farm the land, to have all these resources. The black people in the area, because there were so many more resources, started popping out lots of kids. And there are probably other practices that also led to that. There are probably government incentives and shit like that. Like, you see the stuff going on in our world right now, probably the same sort of shit happening there, I would just guess. And then, you know, now they're at the point where their black community, their African American oh shit, I am so ethnocentric. Have you figured that out yet? No. Okay, so the Africans, the native Africans in South Africa, it's collapsing on itself, and they're angry at the white people because they don't have anything. But the only reason that they got to the point where they could have as many children as they could and have the things that they do have is because of the white people. And now they just want to slaughter the white people because they're evil, and you know, they're gonna starve to death. And it sucks. It sucks that those people are gonna starve to death, but at the same time, they shouldn't have reproduced like rabbits. And they didn't have the self-control, self-knowledge to do that. And, you know, I think part of the issue with that sort of population is, and you can go listen to one of Stefan Molyneux's presentations about race and IQ, but there's some areas of Africa where IQ is really, really low, like 70, which is not an IQ where you can actually live in modern society. That's like hunter-gatherer level IQ. Like, you actually do need to be out, like, hunting and killing something to feed your instincts and stuff like that. And that's the type of thing, like, ooh, bull, I can chase after and throw a stick at it, and you know, that's about the level they can function at, which that's not necessarily a bad thing, But we're not all equal. We're just not. And, like, I would never put, like, African Americans in the same category because there's so much intermixing with African Americans that they're essentially white anyway. They're just, like, they just have different colors. It would be like if you took, like, a regular house cat and bred it with the, I don't know what they're called, but some sort of the cat that they breed with for to get Bengals. So you have to have a wild, more wild component to get the pretty coloring in the Bengals. I kind of view it the same way. Like, we don't have pretty coloring. I mean, I have very fair skin and very nice, smooth skin, but, you know, I'm not exotic, I'm not unique, and so the only thing that, you know, the white people's genetics just tend to override very highly in a conscious sense. That's why you have so many intelligent black people coming out of America. The other part of that is, of course, that anybody who was intelligent in Africa was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here and I'm going over to the United States. So we actually have a really intelligent population of darker colored people. I would say that anywhere in the world, I would say we have the best African people, like, honestly. And that's the truth. The truth is that Americans do everything best. We do our freedoms the best. I know that we fucked up a lot in the past, but it's true. And part of it is being, you know, we were born on the back of tyrannical dictatorship. We were born on the backs of people being oppressed everywhere. You know, you want to talk about just the slaves in the South? That's such a minute population compared to, you know, the millions of European immigrants who came over to the United States to escape all of the tyrannical, oppressive behaviors of those governments. I mean, my own family was able to escape Europe on both sides before World War I or II broke out. Like, you don't think that makes me really happy that my family didn't have to go through that over there? Oh boy. Like, we are all oppressed creatures looking for freedom, you know? And it's hard when you see something happen, like what happened with Count Dankula in the UK, and then you see, you know, Lauren Southern get kicked out because she's simply speaking the truth about people who are legitimately slaughtering people. The government in the UK right now is like, oh, it's okay to kill white people, but if you offend a minority, you're going to prison. And this is a really big problem. And the UK's government has its head so far up its ass in terms of race, it's like, guys, just shut the fuck up. If there's a fucking Muslim grooming gang in Telford, fucking get rid of it. Don't let the fucking granddaddy of it that you knew about in 1966 continue to rape little girls for just decades. It's been 2 fucking decades since 1966. I was 4 years old in 1966. I'm 25 now. That's most of my goddamn life this man has been known about and out there raping little girls. Do you know how fucking depressing that is? Do you know how bad it's gotten in the UK? Like, I'm sitting here as American from an outside perspective, and I'm just thinking to myself, thank fucking God I don't live in the UK. You know, they've got the royal family and all that. These people are fucking idiots. These people have their priorities so fucking wrong. They think it's okay for Muslim men to pick up small, you know, little girls, rape them to the point of infertility, and kill them. And the UK police are just like, well, they're Muslim. What are we supposed to do about it? Like, race. Like, no, fucking arrest them. The UK is really messed up right now, like, seriously messed up. You know, it's one of those things where you know, they're trying to do the same sort of shit on our end, right? And it's just, to me, it's just sort of funny. Because, like, YouTube is trying to make a fight over things it doesn't need to make a fight over, right? Like, YouTube doesn't have to have an opinion to have a successful platform. But they want to be the lapdog of the EU. Okay? And that's pretty fucked. And that means that they're trying to censor U.S. citizens. And us U.S. citizens are just like, what the fuck are you assholes doing? Like, you realize that we'll replace you if you don't work right for us, right? Like, that's why Gab AI exists. That's why BitChute exists, and Vimeo, and all these other startups that are, you know, the quote-unquote alt-tech. It's because we're just like, you know we have Reddit, right? You know we have 4chan, right? Like, we don't need you fuckers. At a certain point, there's going to be another engineer that comes along and starts a startup that's super successful. And guess what? He won't be a fucking ideologue. And we'll all just go to his platform. And then on top of that, you know, do they really want to fight freedom of speech issues? Like, do they really, does Twitter really want to be taken to the the Ninth Circuit would probably agree with them. No. Do they really want to be taken, though, to the Supreme Court? Like, really? I don't think they do. Because the Supreme Court has to look at that. They're going to have to side with the First Amendment. That's, like, number one. That's big number uno. And, you know, quite frankly, if the U.S. government doesn't support the First Amendment, then the stronghold of freedom is basically gone. This is like the last remaining place on the planet right now that really is even remotely free, and, you know, us Americans, I think we just walk around with, you know, this freedom on our chest, and we just don't know it, you know, like. And to me right now, seeing all the shit that's gone down, like, and I know we've had our problems here in the United States, but nothing compared to what's going on with our brothers over in Europe, you know? Like, our sisters are being raped, our children are being murdered. It makes me so angry. I was watching videos about the Telford Grooming gang yesterday, and the only thought I could think is just, you know, I wish I was, you know, like King David from the Bible, and I just had a sword to just slaughter all these motherfuckers, you know? Like, that's the sort of, you know, feelings these people inspire in me. And it's because of their ideology, not because of their race. I've been friends with people of different races. I was a 90s kid. Growing up, I was told, you're all the same. Be friends with everybody. Talk to everyone. Don't be discriminatory. Colors of the rainbow. Jesus love. There's a song that they used to sing, and so I was from the Midwest, so of course it's somewhat religious, but Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. Yellow, red, black, and white, they are precious to his sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. My impression growing up was Jesus loves the little children of the world. All of them, all colors, all races, all creeds. And then, you know, you find out that everybody else doesn't love you back. And, you know, it's one of these things where they were just like, white people, you need to view us as the same as you. And so we're like, got it, we're doing it, we got it, we'll treat you the same. And then we do it, and then you fuckers are just like, what the fuck, you're treating us the same as you? We can't do this? You're being oppressive. You're better at us? You're oppressive? Don't treat us like you're treating you. Like, no. We need welfare. Like, you oppressive bastards need to give us welfare! I'm sorry, this is becoming just kind of a rambled mess of a rant, but at the same time, I'm so angry about so many things, you know? It's just like, I got fooled as a kid. into believing the world was safe. I got fooled as a kid into believing that if I just treated everybody the same, that it would be okay, you know? I got fooled into believing that, you know, this sanctuary of the United States, where we have freedom and prosperity and hope and, you know, the chance at a better future. I thought all that was what everybody wanted. I thought that stability and kindness and love, which was the goal for everyone. And then I grew up, and I learned about something like the Telford Grooming gang, where they've literally taken young girls, young virginal girls, and ruined them completely. Taken their fertility, just completely destroyed them. And they feel justified by their religion. They feel justified because white girls are kafar. Like, we're trash, we're garbage. Oh, we don't cover our faces so that you can only see, you know, slits like this, maybe. We don't do that, so we're garbage. We deserve to be raped repeatedly by thousands of men and take our fertility taken from us. There's even one story about a girl who apparently she had an abortion, or they forced her to have an abortion, and then within hours they were sexually assaulting her again. I mean, you want to talk about the rights of women? Muslim people don't respect women. Like, they don't. Look at their own women. They have to cover them up with bags so that they don't have to see them as people. I saw a Muslim woman in the store I work at, and her face was just completely covered. You couldn't even see her eyes. And I saw her daughter next to her, and I'm just like, who is that girl's mother? Does she know? Does she even know what her mother looks like? I'm sure she does, because I would assume in the household she's allowed to take it off, but at the same time, it's, you, as a woman, don't get to have a public face. No, you don't have a public face. No one's allowed to see you. No one's allowed to see your bruises. No one's allowed to see if your husband's beating you. No one's allowed to see if you have a black eye. No one is allowed to help you. All the abuse that these women take from their husbands, no one's there to help them because they cover up. You know, at least in our modern, you know, Western civilization, if you see a Christian woman and she's kind of trying to cover, you know, her face or something, and you see a big cross, you're probably gonna go, why the hell are you covering your face? And the problem is, I feel like we're doing a really big disservice to our Muslim sisters by allowing them to cover their face and allowing them to cover their arms and legs, or at least be forced to do that, you know? Like, we want our Muslim sisters to have the same help that other people would have in our society. And the problem is that those women are being raped and abused too. There's no such thing as saying no in a Muslim marriage. You know, you either have sex, submit, or you get fucking beat. Because men are allowed to beat their women in Islam. It's something that Christianity was really strongly no on. From the very get-go. You know, like, I don't know that people have ever studied, like, Christianity to any extent, but, like, you listen to, like, the teachings of Paul, and Paul's all like, love is kind, love is patient, love is forgiving, love, you know, and nothing in there is like, hit your fucking wife. Jesus was like, hey guys, don't even lust after another woman. If you even think about it, you're already committing adultery in your heart. Jesus actually introduced the whole concept of a man being able to be adulterous against his wife, you know, versus a woman just being adulterous, which I do agree that's the bigger problem generally, is that women tend to be little whores. But men shouldn't be doing it either. If you want to keep women to one standard, you have to also keep men to the same standard. And, you know, whatnot. And so, but, you know, Christianity views women as, like, if you find a good woman, it's kind of like, alright, you find a good woman, that's, like, amazing. That's, like, oh, God, you gotta, like, spoil her and put her up on a pedestal and, like, white knight for her. Like, have you guys realized Christianity led to the whole white knight thing, whereas Islam leads to brutal rapings and beatings and killings of young, innocent girls. And the UK is letting this happen. Talking a lot about the UK right now, but the UK is seriously letting this happen. I don't know. Maybe we just need more of Paul's teachings out there. I mean, Paul was a really smart guy, you know. He came to knowledge of Christ after persecuting Christians and hearing them preach the love and compassion of Christ. Sitting there, literally watching Stephen be stoned to death, and up till the bitter end, preaching love and compassion and tolerance. A man literally being killed to death, and he's like, I love you, God loves you, God loves people, you know, and it changed Paul to see that sort of devotion to the concept of kindness and compassion. That changed Paul. And Paul would go into towns and he would start preaching about love and tolerance and shit and all the things that, and mind you, Paul would come in very boisterous. He was not a shy guy, okay? He would come in, he would be loud and boisterous, in your face, very much, you fuckers are doing the wrong shit. This is the way you're really supposed to live. It's supposed to all be about love and kindness. The people who did not agree with him, who hated his guts, would come in, beat the shit out of him. His buddy, I don't remember who his buddy's name was now. Timothy, maybe? I think it might have been Timothy. We come in behind him and, you know, pick him up and kind of nurse him back to health a little bit. But then, like, the rest of the people who were sitting there watching him preach about, you know, love and compassion and mercy and tolerance and all these things about the Christian God, well, that really sparked their interest. You know, like, he got the shit beat out of him and he's still here. Like, most guys would be gone or dead. So then he would use that as an opportunity to preach about God's love. It's like, it doesn't matter what other people do to us. It's okay. We still have God's love. And that's the most important thing. That's what really feeds us. We can take all the slander and all the hatred and all the pain and everything, and we stop to be like Paul, who sits there and who preaches the love of Christ again and again and again. And mind you, this was a habit of Paul, just over and over and over again, up until he got beheaded. Rome was like, yeah, buddy, we don't really want to fucking deal with you anymore. And they made him a martyr. Count Dankula, his current day version of a martyr. You know, Lauren Southern is our current day version of a martyr. Unfortunately, martyrs have to be persecuted in public space for them to actually be martyrs. Steven Crowder right now could be considered in that frame. The difference between Christianity back then and what is evolved into now is we're happy to take on that martyr role as long as we get to fight back. You know, it's come to the point, I think, where the love and tolerance of Christianity is amazing. You know, that's what built the Western world. But we have this horde And it is a horde of people coming in to destroy our culture, to destroy our way of life, to destroy Western civilization, to rape and slaughter and kill and to brutalize our children and our young girls. These men are pedophiles and murderers and rapists, and their religion allows them. I will think to myself, we need another crusade just to destroy these motherfuckers. And then I think of the good Muslims out there who don't want to kill and slaughter and rape. And it's really hard to differentiate between the two sometimes, especially when their communities are intermixed. And I don't know, maybe at some point it's just like, get rid of it all fucking together because it's all just cancerous. You guys can't hold each other accountable, then maybe we just need to slaughter all of you. I'm sorry, but, you know, maybe it's convert to Christianity or secularism, like, either one, quite frankly. I view both very similarly. To me, like, secularism, well, okay, they're not the same thing, but, I guess, maybe Enlightenment era, like, secularism would be more equivalent to what I consider, like, true Christianity. Which is, by the way, true Christianity, Jesus was Son of Man. Like, I don't know how many times I've read the Bible and thought to myself, why the fuck do they keep saying Son of Man, Son of Man, Son of Man? I thought he was the Son of God. Like, no, the Bible says he was Son of Man. Like, just over and 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 over again. The whole story of Jesus is about human potential and human power, you know, and, you know, Jesus had the right, you know, sort of combination of things. He had a stable family, he had a good father and a good mother, and they raised him, and maybe he had some more spiritual sort of inklings about things because he was from a line of prophets and a line of kings, and things just all mashed up and mushed together in the right sort of thing, and you got Jesus, right? And everything just had to work out perfectly to make that happen. And then what you get is somebody who brings an ideology that is literally salvation for society. And it has evolved into, you need to work hard to get what you need, and that's very much a Jewish concept. You need to sacrifice to get what you need, you know. That's very much a Jewish concept. But then on the other side of it is the ethical side of how do you treat people while you're going about this. And because nobody likes that asshole who gets all the wealth and the riches and you know, can take care of himself, no one likes that guy if he's also out there slaughtering a bunch of people. Okay? Like, he's gonna end up getting slaughtered. But if you're an ethical business person, maybe somebody malicious might go after you, and a lot of times malicious people do go after you. But the difference between you being a good person and a bad person in that situation is that if you're a good person and somebody malicious comes and tries to take your fortune, you have an army of friends surrounding you. If you're an evil, malicious person, you have nobody. And then you get destroyed when you come across an enemy that's stronger than you. Right now, we're letting Islam be stronger than Western civilization. And we're going to come to a point, like they did back when, you know, Prince Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, or whatever, they were fighting literally on the battlefield to destroy the Moors because they had been invaded, took over Spain, came in to invade Europe. These fuckers have been trying to do this over and over and over and over and over again to us. Do you know how many times the Muslims have tried to invade Europe? Meanwhile, we had a very small select group of crusades that were specifically targeted to Israel area, specifically one small spot, whereas the Islam hordes that have been trying to take over Europe since its conception, essentially. They have attacked everywhere. They're in fucking Sweden. They're in England. They're in Spain. They're in Germany. They have no-go zones in Germany. Come on. It's a really bad situation. And the only thing I can think is how do you fight the fire of religious extremism? And the only thing I can think of is to have another ideology just as powerful, but kinder, you know? Like, when you regard the Christian faith in the right way, which is not with all this fucking bullshit that's surrounding it, like, Jesus' birthday is on Christmas! No fucking shit, it's not! No, Jesus was probably born in September or late September. I mean, you want to say December? No, I don't think so. I don't think he was born in December. I don't think he shares a birthday with 15 other gods, okay? I really don't think so. I think it was probably just a political ploy. Easter's the same fucking thing. I mean, we have the Passover is really when we should be, you know, celebrating Easter. We should be celebrating Passover, really, you know, because that's another one of God's miracles. The Passover goes back to the time of Moses, when, you know, God freed Israel from the slavery of the Egyptians. And so it's just, it's one of those things where Christianity has been warped so much that nobody knows what the true version looks like anymore, and that's really unfortunate. And I've actually spent time, you know, studying and researching the Bible and stuff, and trying to expand what I know about it so that I'm better able to explain it to people. And I just realized that nothing that people know about it is real and true and right, and there's so much disinformation and stuff. And I wonder with all this censorship and stuff going on, it's just like, where did we go wrong? And the only thing I can think is we turned away from, you know, our faith and our ideas, you know. And I don't just mean Christianity, like, you know, Enlightenment period ideas work just as well, you know, the whole concepts of liberty and freedom and, you know, lack of restriction from the government and stuff like that. Like, it's just that we've had these crazy leftists in our society trying to destroy, like, the family unit, and trying to destroy any stability, and just trying to destroy any sense of what, you know, gives us an identity, any sense of what gives us, you know, cultural flavor, any sense of what gives us, you know, an idea of that, you know, our culture is worth being here. We're just told that we're evil, horrible people because at one point in the past there were slaves in the United States, and they just shit on the ideas that our country was founded on. It's like, yeah, George Washington was an asshole. An opportunistic asshole. Does that mean the Constitution isn't important? No. We've just let go of all these ideas. It's like, when did the idea of stability in a family unit become so horrible? When did the idea of being able to take care of yourself instead of relying on somebody else become so horrible? When did the idea of hearing something that someone says become so horrible that you have to literally send them to jail for making their dog do a Nazi salute? When? What happened? The ideas changed. The ideas changed from tolerance to tolerance and progressivism. There's no discernment. There's no merit-based work anymore. They got rid of everything that has brought stability to our society. And the only thing that I'm hopeful about is that we've had such a big community of Christians here in the United States, and we have so much access to information and stuff, and there's so many teachers out there who are actively trying to teach about Christianity in its true form. And that's my biggest hope, is that we are a Christian nation based off of Christian ideals. You know, kind of the whole thing with God and the whole Bible was like trying to get us to the point where we didn't need a king. You know, like, you go back to the Old Testament, the Jewish God was like, okay, you guys, I'm gonna be your leader. You don't need a God. Like, no. This is gonna work so much better if you don't have a king. Like, you don't need a king. Not gonna happen. And then everybody was like, what the fuck are you doing? No, we need a king! And he was like, well, shit, I guess I'll give you Saul then. And then Saul turned out to be completely bipolar, so God was like, okay, well, David, you're gonna take over now. And then David, like, was a horrible human being too. The whole point of it, I think, of that story is essentially like, you guys really want a king? A king's gonna be imperfect like a human being is. Like, that's what you're gonna get. And so what you really need to do is have, instead of a king, you need to have a set of ideals by which you live. Okay? And that's essentially, you can think of the idea of God. Like, for me, that's a lot deeper than that, but for just the average Joe Smo, it's like, hey, don't you think the idea of freedom of speech, so that you don't have to go to jail if you say something slightly offensive to somebody, don't you think that's a good idea? And most people are gonna go like, yeah, that's a great idea, I don't want to go to jail. Fuck that shit. So, my whole point is that the world has just gone topsy-turvy, I guess, and we don't have strong ideals anymore, and we don't have strong belief systems anymore, and it's really sad. And I feel like hopefully with how much discussion and conversation there is right now with, you know, this online stuff, you know, I'm just hoping we're gonna turn this shit around. I'm hoping that we're gonna, like, forge ahead with a new ideology that's, you know, stronger and healthier and better even than the, you know, Enlightenment or Christianity or any of that. Maybe take Christianity, you know, and keep its teachings, because the teachings are still really good, but just add to it, because every generation has to add the knowledge of the last. And it's time for us to take a look around the world and go, what's evil, what's good, and what the fuck are we gonna do about it?